the President of the Indian Brokers Association, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be with you on this very important day in your history, your annual day. I think it's a day of celebration, a day of recollection, and a day for actually looking to where the future will take us. And for this reason, because of these three critical aspects about the past, the present, and the future, that such a day becomes critically important. What I would like to do is tell you a couple of stories from my experiences both in India and some of the things that I've learned from experiences abroad. So let me first craft the way people hold the insurance industry. It is unfortunately a very unloved industry. It is an ununderstood or little understood industry. And it is very large. Because if you take a walk in any major city in the world, you will find that the most imposing buildings are those that have been constructed by insurance companies. They are the landmarks of any major street in any big city, any big metropolis in the world. And so there is this complete lack of appreciation of what insurance does. And because of this black hole that has been created, there is lack of appreciation of the roles that need to be played by the insurance underwriter, by the broker, by the insured, by all the people who manage the insurance process, and the people who are in charge of making sure that all of these activities happen in a trustworthy, efficient way that will work towards the benefit of all stakeholders, all the ones that I mentioned. At the center of this conflict and this lack of appreciation is what is called conflict of interest. And this conflict of interest arises because there is lack of full transparency. Just imagine a world where when you are taking the premium, you communicate to the person who is taking the insurance as to what you're going to do with the premium. Exactly. What is the life cycle of that premium? If you were able to communicate and say that X percentage is going to be the pool, this is the cost that we are going to incur to manage the pool, this is the float that we will have. It will enable us to make sure that where there are a lot of claims in a particular period, we will still be able to meet all of them. And whatever surplus remains, we will, on your behalf, make a charitable contribution to a particular charity of your choice. What you will do by this is you will suddenly create full alignment to the whole process, because every person who puts out a rupee wants to know where that rupee is going to go. And if there's complete transparency about it, and you are able to show that together the ecosystem is going to work to make sure that the benefits that are supposed to arise out of insurance, pooling of interest, making sure that all information is available, making sure that existing problems are identified and set aside and kept away from the entire process, so that when an actual incident happens and gets reported, the processing of the claim will be speedy, almost instantaneous, because the trust has already been created through the entire process of being transparent, of letting people know exactly what is going to happen to the premium that they pay. The investment process, the process of earning return on it, the process of making claims, the process of managing the costs, all of that becomes transparent. And every year, the customer base must get aware on a one-on-one personalized basis, transparently what has happened to the money that you have taken in the pool. And it is when they see that contribution going to charity that the entire faith in the entire insurance process starts becoming greater. Everybody will start trusting the system better. Now you'll ask me, who has created this model in the world? There's an extraordinary company which today has the largest market share in new insurance underwritten in property and casualty in the New York market, the most highly regulated marketplace in the world. It's a company which started 5 years ago on a completely digital platform. It was born digital. The entire way that it decided to work was digital. There is no paper. To underwrite insurance across the whole of Europe and UK and in all the 50 plus states in the United States, they have a sum total of 400 people and 3 bots. One of their bots is called Maya. What Maya does is in 90 seconds, it is in a position to underwrite your insurance. But before Maya comes and does the underwriting, and it is a pure insurance bot, it's an AI bot, it has collected already 1,700 data sets about you, about the property, about your environment, about the street on which the property is, how many people live there, what are the habits of those people. 1,700 different data sets have already been collected. So that the underwriting process then becomes the time that it takes between your ordering a coffee and your latte being ready, and you will have your insurance underwritten. But the amazing thing about this insurance company is that it pays out its claims in 3 seconds. While the underwriting happens in 90 seconds, claims are paid out in 3 seconds. In between, a third AI bot does all the backroom. So the entire process of managing costs, putting away in investments, making sure that investment returns are in, protection of principal is there is a proper recognition of the income, all of that is done by a completely digital, fully automated back office. That is a visionary insurance company. And it might be interesting for you as you look at the future to see how 450 of you can together make sure that in India, such a digital insurance major actually comes into existence. But what can you do as a broker today? What is the best way that you can harness which technology is something that I would recommend you start thinking about today so that your future can be completely different. And I'll give you just 3 or 4 constructs which you may want to think about and grow and build together. All 400 plus of you can work together on this. So there are 4 concepts that you need to know. Data governance is critical. What does data governance at essence mean? It means that you should treat data with the highest respect for privacy and the highest respect for security. You cannot have data leaking out. You cannot have data going into the wrong hands. You cannot have it used for purposes other than what it was meant to be used. Quite apart from the fact that we will have a privacy law in place sometime soon, you need to see how other jurisdictions, like the GDPR in Europe, how that has worked out, and make sure that you embed into your data processes governance of the highest quality, which will assure the giver of data to you and the user of data. So make responsible use of that data. That is the challenge that you will need to take up. So if you can mask data such that it is secure, it remains confidential, it remains safe, it remains secure in your custody, and you make responsible use of it based on what it is intended to be used for, you will be able to get and capture and have access to public data and private data that you can mask in a way that all of these fundamental concepts on data governance can be actually embedded. This also has a direct link to cybersecurity. The second construct I will give you is never have systems which are dependent on human beings for data entry. To the extent possible, see if you can capture data sets as they arise in human or other interactions, so that the richness of that data sets, what is the outcome of their interaction, gets captured into your system. What that will do is it will make this data reliable, trustworthy, right the first time. So therefore, start thinking of the use of blockchain in all your processes. What does the blockchain do? The best example of a blockchain is the Bitcoin. Why has it become so valuable? Because it depends on a process that is completely trustworthy. Nobody has been able to hack a Bitcoin in the world since it began, some 10, 15 years ago, 15 years ago. And why is that the case? Because the security around its mining is so phenomenal that there is one gentleman who was reported last week who had lost his password or had forgotten his password and has no way today on earth to actually access his own stock of Bitcoins. So that's what blockchain does. It immobilizes, makes data non-changeable, immutable. The minute data becomes immutable, it becomes trustworthy. And then the trust is handed out to people in a manner that they can make best use of it. The third concept is that work with artificial intelligence. Don't be afraid of using it. What artificial intelligence can do is it will extend your brain power at a rate that is so dramatic that you will be able to accomplish 10x in terms of productivity and potential of what you have already. So work with computers and with AI bots and with artificial intelligence to make sure that you can gather information, collect it, make it available to where it is required in a masked way with full data governance. Make sure that inciting from that data can actually happen. And fourth construct, I would say, is rely on big data analytics. The one thing that has become ubiquitous in the world today is Wi-Fi. The other thing that is getting to be ubiquitous is storage space and compute power. So if you have unlimited compute power, unlimited storage space, and Wi-Fi, which is ever on, permitting you to download as much data and process as much data as you wish, then you have a perfect storm where you can make sure that all your decisions and all your work is data-led. Now, once you embrace this data-led process of working 360 degrees, you will find that you will be able to deliver satisfaction to your customers, deep trust to the insurance companies with whom you work, tremendous respect from the regulators, and a bonhomie amongst your own community, which will become the example for many other associations and many other such organizations as yours to follow. And to that wonderful future, I would like today to be the starting point. May the day that you meet be the beginning of a glorious tomorrow. Thank you.